She tried to close our charity. The judge made her fund the New Kitten Wing. You want to know about the Nights of Fright? It's not a hobby. It's a year-round passion project. We don't just open on Halloween. We spend August testing the hydraulics and September running soft previews. Every ticket, every cent we earn goes directly to keeping the local animal shelter alive through the winter. This isn't just about scares, it's about sanctuary. And my job as the technical director and lead scaremaster is to protect that. That protection failed with Cassidy. I should have seen the signs. She wasn't just my apprentice, she was family, the only person I taught every single secret of the house to since she was 16. She knew how to make the impossible happen. That trust? She poisoned it. The embezzlement wasn't a sudden whim, it was a slow bleed. Every year we pre-order specialized high-grade materials for our pneumatics and our signature scares, stuff that costs thousands. Cassidy was in charge of vendor invoices. By last summer, she'd been diverting those funds, not just $500, but nearly $50,000 over 3 years, by creating fake vendor accounts for prop foam and specialty wiring that simply didn't exist. She was caught because she got sloppy with an invoice for the very blood effect in our signature blood vault maze. I confronted her in late August, surrounded by half-built sets. When the board voted to fire her, she didn't apologize. She didn't cry. She just gave me that cold, entitled stare of a sociopath who thought she deserved the money more than the sick animals. As they escorted her out, she looked me dead in the eye, pointed a finger at the house itself and swore, "I'll make sure this place only exists in a grave of paperwork." September was a blur. The local paper ran the story, and the scandal drove our early season attendance down 40%. The true fear, though, was not knowing when Cassidy would strike. She knew the house had an Achilles heel: insurance liability. Every scare, every moving part, every drop of blood, it was all insurable risk. 2 weeks before the biggest night of the year, Halloween itself, her paperwork arrived. Cassidy had filed a claim that our entire blood vault maze was structurally unsound and that her anonymous sources were already injured. The stakes were no longer just money. We risked a state-ordered shutdown. The loss of our final night meant the animal shelter wouldn't make it to Christmas. Cassidy didn't want a quiet payout. She wanted a televised funeral for our charity. She spent the week feeding local news outlets and her venomous social media followers this poison, posting about the risks non-profits take when corners are cut. She had framed us as irresponsible monsters before we could even fight back. I was the only one who could save the house. The only way out was to let her walk right into a perfect, inescapable trap. I gambled every last penny of our contingency fund, money meant for next year's operation, and installed a cutting-edge subtle motion sensing and thermal grid throughout the finale corridor. It cost a king's ransom, but I justified it to the board as a crucial safety upgrade. What I didn't tell them was that this system could create a 3D mapped replay of every person's movement, proving if a fall was intentional. It could tell if a victim was truly panicking or if they were choreographing a felony. It was the ultimate gamble. I had to let the wolf in and trust that the only way to stop her was to get her to publicly hang herself. The night of Halloween. 11:45 p.m. The line is still wrapped around the block. The news van is parked directly across the street. I was in my control room, watching the heat signatures move through the maze, sweating through my costume. And then, out of the emergency exit, she emerges, Cassidy, dressed in a ridiculously over-the-top, maleficent costume. She's not walking, she's limping, holding a perfectly placed theatrical bandage wrapped around her arm. Her friend is yelling into a phone on speaker, demanding the police shut down this criminally negligent hazard immediately. A black, unmarked sedan pulls up silently, the fraud unit. Cassidy sees the news camera swing over, and that is her final, fatal mistake. She swells up with this disgusting, self-righteous arrogance. She leans right into the microphone, demanding the detective confiscate our computers. She screams, piercing the night.
Look at the evidence. This place is a death trap.
The detective, bless him, barely glances at her arm. He pulls out a rugged police-issue laptop, and his hand never shakes as he plugs in my small thumb drive.
"We don't need to look at the house, ma'am," he says, his voice cutting clean through her noise. "We just needed to see your performance."
He plays the thermal footage. It's silent, eerie, and utterly damning. It shows Cassidy and her friends stopping mid-scare, waiting for the camera to pass. Then Cassidy slowly, deliberately, dips her own elbow into a puddle of prop blood before executing a calculated, gentle fall against a padded wall. The camera catches the worst part, a crystal-clear thermal image of Cassidy looking straight at the lens, nodding smugly to her friend, who then starts the fake screaming cue. The entire crowd, the people waiting in line, the news crew, the security staff, the silence was absolute. Her pride, her meticulously planned victimhood, it all shattered on that street in front of everyone who ever trusted her. I watched the detective read her Miranda rights right there, under the flickering neon sign of the Knights of Fright. Cassidy was spitting mad, screaming about her lawyer, but she was utterly powerless. Her arrogance, her desperate need for that public spotlight, had built the perfect scaffolding for her own televised downfall. That's when I felt it. Not just relief, but the huge, deep, shuddering outward sigh, a physical release that felt like it purged 25 years of loyalty and a week of paralyzing panic. The police hauled her away, and the stunned news anchor ended the segment perfectly.
"Folks, it seems the biggest scare tonight was insurance fraud."
The true victory came later. The judge, seeing the malicious fraud against a non-profit, didn't just fine her. He levied a punitive penalty, using the original $50,000 figure as a base for damages. Every single dollar went straight to the animal shelter. The amount? Enough to build them a brand new isolation wing. Cassidy tried to bury the charity, and instead, she made it immortal. The payment cleared yesterday. It funded the construction of that bright yellow wing where the rescued kittens recover. The director put up a small, elegant brass plaque with a single victorious line, funded by case file, Us versus Cassidy W., Halloween 2025. And every time I visit, I look at that clean, warm room, and I just think, that is the sweetest six-figure revenge a scorned artist, the guardian of the fright, could ever receive.